Well, what we'll maybe do is I'll just make a start just now, and then we'll let people in as they arrive in the waiting room as well. But I just want to welcome you all along to our How to Win a Business Award webinar this morning. My name is Alan Busby, and I'm the events manager at Glasgow Chamber of Commerce. And it's my pleasure to welcome you all along on what's a sunny day where I am right now. It's very, very sunny and very, very bright. So apologies if I appear to be squinting at all at any point because the sun's sort of glaring in at me. It's great to have you all along, and I'm great to be showcasing what is for us as a Chamber of Commerce our flagship event in the Glasgow Business Awards today. What we've done today is we've worked with a few of our partners to come together to arrange this webinar to show you maybe how you might go about the application process. It's not just pointed at the Glasgow Business Awards. This will hopefully help you with all of your applications for any future awards as well, whether it be the Glasgow Business Awards or with other organisations as well. So I hope you really enjoy the session. Take lots of hints and tips from it. I just want to quickly cover a couple of house rules. If you can keep yourself on mute if you're not speaking, that would be much appreciated while we go through it. There will be the opportunity at the end of the session to ask any questions, and feel free to raise your hand at that point or to jump in and ask any questions, or you can ask questions in the chat as we go through and we can come to them at the Q&A part as well. And I think the other house rule that I just wanted to make you all aware of is gone straight out of my head. So what we'll just do is we'll just get underway this morning. And so I'm delighted that this morning we're working with Gillian Dick of the Go-To Agency. Gillian I've known for many years through my work at the Chamber of Commerce, and is fantastic at social media, fantastic at PR and business and promotion as well, but also has been working on sort of training packages and working very closely with Business Gateway in the past to help businesses grow and develop as well. So Gillian, I'm going to hand over to you. I'm going to say you can probably do a wee better bio of yourself there, so I'll hand straight over to you, and we'll get underway today. So Gillian, over to you.
Thanks very much, Alan. No, I'm absolutely delighted to be able to run this morning's session, and I'm just going to share my slides with you so that we can get the session underway. Perfect. So hopefully everybody can see that okay. As Alan had said, I've known him probably for about 13 years now, and I've always been an absolute advocate of the Chamber. I've had a lot of positive experiences myself with the Glasgow Business Awards and other business awards. And when he approached me, I kind of thought, well, how can I impart, I suppose, some of my experiences and some of my knowledge? Because when I first applied for a business award, I didn't actually have anybody to help me, but I did have belief. And what I want to do is share some sort of tips, hints, things like that, because there is no one size fits all kind of approach. But really just the fact that you're here today, you're obviously interested in applying for an award and hopefully a Glasgow Business Award. And I want to talk to you about so many of the different sort of benefits and things like that as well. So in terms of sort of experience, it was a really nice thing to be able to prepare the slides for today's session, because it was a bit of a kind of trip down memory lane. I have had success with, as I say, the Glasgow Business Awards before. I've won 2 of them, and in fact one of them was a bit of a surprise because I kind of didn't think I would stand a chance given the fact that I was in and up against somebody like Morgan Stanley. But what I want to sort of hopefully give you the confidence in is that it doesn't matter what size your business or organisation is. If you have the evidence and you have a compelling story, absolutely go for it, because it can completely change your business for the better. And I speak from personal experience on that. So I have had lots of experience, and what was really interesting was that people started to come to me and say, you know what you're doing, can you help me? So it's not just my business that I've successfully submitted business applications for awards. I've also worked with other businesses in other industries. So everything that I'm talking about, although I'll give you examples from my perspective, you know, they can be applied to lots of different industries and things like that as well. And as I say, it's just one of those things that it gives you credibility. There are so many different sort of benefits. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at the benefits of obviously entering a business award, you know, why you should do it, why it's good for business, all the kind of, as I say, the sort of different sort of benefits you can get from it, because sometimes people just think, well, I'm going to do it because I'd like to get more sales. But actually some of the kind of things post-award journey are absolutely phenomenal. And whether you are a finalist or an actual award winner, it really doesn't matter, because it's just been part of that process and sort of making the most of those kind of opportunities and things like that as well. We're going to look at how to kind of write an entry that gives you the best chance of success, because things have changed. The competition is getting greater. People are getting more savvy, and you've got to believe in yourself, but you've also got to have something that stands out. And with that, I would say, let's look at what the judges are looking for. And there's lots of little factors, bits of homework that you can do to really give you, a winning chance kind of thing. We'll also have the opportunity to hear from kind of previous winners. And as Alan said, there'll be also an opportunity for sort of questions and answers. So why should you enter? The fact that you're giving up time this morning to come on the session and learn more is absolutely fantastic. But hopefully by the time I've gone through everything, you'll leave enthused and actually make a start on that application, because the one thing that happens is time disappears quickly. And if you're going to be in it, you've got to be in it to win it. So it is very much about, making sure that you prepare for that. What I would say about business awards and the fact that you've entered, it demonstrates that you are serious about business. And I also have personally found that when I look at business award applications, it's a really useful process in terms of looking at, am I on track with the business and where do I want to go? It really helps you kind of drill down. And quite often we do not recognise successes or take the chance to look at the things that we have done right. We quite often focus on maybe where things have gone wrong. That too can be useful, by the way. But what I would say is it's a really good process to do, and you come out the other end perhaps a lot more focused as well. In terms of recognition, it is about acknowledging your accomplishments and things that you've achieved. We are busy, we probably wear lots of hats. I know that when I first started and I applied for awards, I was on my own and I didn't have, big organisations and fancy offices. And the thing is, it's the small stuff that can really matter and make a difference. So, you're getting that recognition. And again, there might be some businesses here that are not members or smaller businesses. And what I would say is that friends and family will tell you lots of good things, that this is something that gives you an opportunity to be recognised in your industry, in your field, in your country, if you like, and it can really sort of set you apart as well. In terms of visibility, the sort of PR benefits are absolutely huge, and more people will get to know your business, what you do, because what I find is that quite often perception can win over reality. And the nice thing about getting additional visibility for your business and being able to promote it is that people can start to fully understand exactly what you do. The first Glasgow Business Award I won was back in 2010, and it was for best use of social media. Now that was 12 years ago, and much has changed in the sort of digital world. But what I would say is back then it was still a relatively new thing in terms of business, and people didn't always necessarily understand exactly the benefits, and some people just thought it was a bit of fluff and a bit of rubbish. We now know today how important it is, but like I say, there's lots of opportunities to get your message across and to really demonstrate that you mean business. And it's something that people are attracted to because they want to kind of connect and work with successful people. So it's independently judged. That's the benefit of it. It's impartial. And as I say, it gives you the opportunity to demonstrate that you really are one of the best. There are lots of different types of business awards. What appealed to me about the Glasgow Business Awards were that it was something that was going to be quite significant. It's a key day in the business diary, and I wanted the visibility in Glasgow with other businesses. So it was a good fit for me at the time. And as I say, even just thinking back to the actual awards themselves, you're in a room where you've got over 600 people typically, and they get to see your business and your brand, and it's something that you almost can't buy, but you've got to obviously be part of it. So I would definitely say that don't hesitate, put yourself forward for it, because there are so many other things that you can sort of get from it as well. It creates a bit of a sort of legacy. I also believe it has a positive impact on kind of clients and any partners just by association, because again, if you have won an award or been a finalist or been recognised, you are much more credible, and that's really key. And that was the thing that was important to me. I wanted that credibility in the business community in Glasgow, and I was, I suppose, maybe initially punching above my weight, but you know, once I'd done it, it was an amazing thing, and you know, I've never looked back since. It can also help to support grow your business to the next level. The first business awards that I went for, I was running a different business. I was running a company called Find Me Glasgow, and I was so passionate about it. I had come from a background of Yellow Pages, and I'd always worked for big brands. But what I quickly realised is that when I had left, and it was the financial crash back in sort of 2008, 2009, I didn't have a big brand behind me. And I really had to sort of prove and set myself apart, because I know that people, typically the saying goes, you back the jockey, not the horse. And this was my opportunity to sort of shine. So business awards are your opportunity to shine and to show, you know, exactly how good you are in your field. As I said, you know, the Glasgow Business Awards have lots of different sort of categories and things like that as well. So whether you're a finalist or a winner, there are lots and lots of different benefits. In terms of sort of morale boosting, if you have a team of employees, being shortlisted for an award is a great thing. It's an opportunity to stop, recognise successes, celebrate it, and it's just a general good feeling. A lot of employees enjoy it, and the staff get lots of benefits from it. I mentioned PR coverage earlier on because that is absolutely huge. And some businesses do have a PR, you know, team, but some don't. And this is something that it will almost take care of itself, which is absolutely fantastic. Credibility in terms of how you're perceived and how your business is perceived, it just sets you apart and you are seen in a much more positive light. And it educates potential customers and sort of partners alike. Because as I said, sometimes people think one thing, but actually when they read your story, your journey and what you've done, the penny drops for them kind of thing. And that's absolutely fantastic. And it differentiates you from the competition, because we all have, competitors, or there are alternative providers of services that we offer. So we want to be helping future customers make an informed decision. And if you've been a finalist or you're consistently recognised for various different awards, they realise that there's something different about you. There's something that sort of sets you apart. So there's lots and lots of benefits. Another one, if you're looking to grow your team, I know that businesses just now, sometimes recruitment can be somewhat of a challenge, and everybody wants good people because the people are what makes a business. So if you're winning awards, that does make you, it's a given that you are an employer of choice and you will attract, good caliber sort of employees and sort of candidates in the future. So that might not be something that you're thinking about just now, but as I say, there's multiple benefits. Whatever size your business is, your organisation, it absolutely makes good business sense to enter. In terms of increased sales, that comes, and sometimes you get opportunities that you could never imagine. And in terms of investment, I've sort of put here that it will help you attract investment in you and your business. So again, some people aren't looking for investment and they might think, well, that doesn't apply to me. But when I was starting out as well, as I say, it can be quite a lonely sort of journey running a business. And you need to sort of surround yourself with good people, but you also, can benefit from having a mentor. And I had looked at different programs that were available to sort of seek out a mentor for me and for my business. And to be honest, I didn't find a good fit with what was available. So my approach was to be a bit more of, sort of proactive and reach out. And actually, it sounds a bit cheeky, but I did it. And on the back of the first Glasgow Business Award, I actually reached out to Stuart Patrick, who is the chief exec of the Chamber, a well-known figure. And I appealed to his good nature, and I explained that I would, really like him to be my mentor and what his sort of time commitment potentially could be, but the difference it would make to my business. And he basically replied and said, my door's open, just, get in touch and my secretary will put it in the diary. And that was phenomenal. But again, that's the sort of thing that the Chamber has thousands of members. So, I'm sure Stuart probably gets approached for lots of different things, but if you don't ask, you don't get. So it helped me get a mentor. And again, it was all about building on that and holding myself sort of accountable and things like that as well. So lots and lots of benefits. Some are easier to measure than others, but they all help you get to the next stage. Now, whilst I started off by saying, I didn't have a lot of experience in applying for business awards, but I had belief, I am a positive thinker, and, I do have the vision, but I don't expect success. I prepare for it. And that's maybe something that sounds like, common sort of knowledge, but the reality is that you really absolutely need to make sure you've got everything covered. So some of the things that I would say that you should think about for preparing a sort of successful entry are, what are the awards? What is the kind of judging criteria? So I quite often will see an award that has a certain name, but when you drill down and you actually review the questions and what they're asking for, do you think that you can honestly put a good case forward? Do you have the evidence? Is it compelling enough? Is it going to set you apart? I'm not worried too much about what other people are doing in your field, but you do have to really think, how can you stand out and sort of support that? And identifying all possible types of evidence. So again, sometimes it can be that you've got really impressive customer retention rates. It can be, KPIs, key performance indicators, where you're maybe making significant progress online, driving traffic, seeing increases, or you've been awarded, your kind of ISO 9001 or whatever it might be, or you're the only company in Scotland that's achieved this. But you have to think about all the different types of evidence, things that you can use and pepper in your answers to substantiate any kind of claims and respond to those kind of questions. So definitely, download the application form, look at the award, but actually drill down and look at what they're looking for, because sometimes the award name does not always, match up with what you might think. So you've just got to make sure that you can absolutely nail it down. And as I said, with the employer, I won the award for Best Employer of a Student or Graduate. And I ended up being a finalist with Morgan Stanley. And I thought, it's never going to happen. It's Morgan Stanley, done. And I actually won it. And I did get feedback on it. But the thing was, I had so many ways to evidence what I had done and the impact that I had made as an individual for sort of so many people, and the opportunities and things like that, that it just stood out for, the actual kind of judges and things like that as well. So, absolutely have and compile all your kind of evidence and things like that as well. Apply for the categories you can substantiate the most, because again, a lot of people now, especially since COP26, they're very much about the kind of environmental message, and they're looking at lots of different things that they can do, and they might want to win an award, but have you done enough to actually win that? Because I know typically when you look at awards, they're looking for you to demonstrate something that you've done over a period of time, and it's usually the last year. So you don't want to bend the truth just to try and make it fit. If you haven't done enough for this award application this year, by all means look at other categories, but think about that for next year, because the chances are that same award category will come up and you'll be able to apply for it. So actually think about engineering it for success and taking action to, do things that you can then obviously use in your application form. In terms of standing out, is it an opportunity to stand out? So what I mean by that is, at the moment, the Glasgow Business Awards, it's great that you can fill out your application and you can submit it. But in some instances, and we are looking at obviously other business awards, in some instances, you have the opportunity to actually submit videos. You can submit hard copies. I've done things like that in the past as well. And, you want to do different. You don't want to just be the same as everybody else. You want an opportunity to stand out. So think about what you can do that can be a bit different as well. And then the next step, the obvious one, is, having said all that, get to work and start collating. Don't leave it to the deadline. An award that I had went for years ago with the Association of Scottish Businesswomen, you had to be nominated. So I actually had to identify what I wanted to go for and reach out to somebody who could nominate me. And again, that sort of stuff takes time. So don't leave it to the last minute. Get everything ready to go and, absolutely go for it. But one size doesn't fit all. So if you've had success with other business awards, it doesn't mean to say that you can just take that information and sort of copy and paste it for the Glasgow Business Awards, because everything is different. And it's sort of evolving kind of thing. So just keep all that kind of stuff in mind. These are some of the kind of do's and don'ts that I'm going to cover. So do stick to the brief, the word count and supporting documents. And if I use the Glasgow Business Awards as an example, you will have a word count, you'll have a maximum number of words that you can sort of put in. I'm maybe a bit of a stickler, but I think about it as like an exam paper. And I think, you know, don't bend the rules, you know, because if you can't follow it, then a judge might say, no, that's it. They're going to get a lot of applications. So you just want to make sure that you've at least understood that and you've sort of stuck to that sort of brief. If you've got an opportunity to add supporting documents, that's great. Give it in the format that they've asked for. Don't do something different unless it's going to help you be distinct. Don't do something that they've not asked for. A lot of the time, they will not follow links. So putting a link to your website, never assume that they will click on it. I don't think they're actually meant to. I think it's meant to be what is in your application. So bear that in mind. You've got to have it all on there. Provide evidence to back up your claims and statements, because it's easy to say, you know, well, we've done this, we've reduced our carbon footprint by 35,000 tons or whatever it might be, but you need to back this stuff up, because if you don't, you're not going to get full marks in that section. So you've got to think about that as well. Another thing I always do is I do my homework on the judges and the sponsors. And what I mean by that is that if I'm going for a certain category, I look at the sponsor, because it's fair to say that that sponsor has chosen to support that category because it's aligned with their business. So I then drill down and think about what values are aligned with their business and what can I demonstrate from my business or your business that is a good match for that. I then also think about the judges, and sometimes you don't know exactly who everybody is, but it's great to be able to sort of speak to them, and the more you can find out, the better. So as I say, it's just about preparation. It's not just having the answers and the evidence, it's actually taking it to that next level. And these are the things that can give you a distinctive edge. Also consider your tone. Speak to them on their level. It's very, very important, because if they haven't met you and you haven't been able to submit any kind of videos, it's the written word that they're really referring to. And sometimes it can be hard to sort of detect, but make sure you've got it on the sort of right level. Plan your answers. So the first thing I would recommend is read the questions, but don't just read the first question and start working through an application. You must read it all the way through, because quite often, and I have done it, the sort of latter where I've started at the beginning and thought I'll answer that and then I'll go to the next question. And I've realized that, wait a minute, I've used a bit there that I could have used there. So almost do a bit of a brain dump, if you like, or a mind map, and look at the sort of question and what you can use and how you can put that in, because you're also working to a word count, remember. So that's the sort of key thing to do. Give it the time it deserves, and you really need to concentrate. The best applications I have done are where I've almost kind of locked myself away and not had any distractions or interruptions, because you get in a flow and it just works. Don't get me wrong, I love a deadline, but business award applications are not the time to exercise that. You really want to get everything done and dusted so that you can submit it in sort of good time. Keep it relevant. That sounds obvious, but it's very easy to start talking about other things you've done, because you're like thinking, oh, this is great, we've done lots of things and I can add this in. But if it's not relevant to that category, or if it's not of interest, it might even annoy judges. So you've just got to think about stuff like that as well. Get a colleague to read and give you feedback, and you want it to be constructive feedback, because again, friends and family will tell you everything's great, but you need to know if it's reading well and it looks good, and if you're missing anything out. And sometimes we can be a bit guilty, especially if this is your first application. Sometimes we play things down a bit. This is not the time to do that. It's the time to talk it up, especially if you can back it up. So a third party is much better to be able to sort of say, well, you've missed this out and you've missed that out. I know myself, with a lot of what I do, I go into that mode of training and talking and related stories, but a colleague will say to me, but you do this and you do this and you do this, and it's all these things that make the difference. So that's why it's really, really important to get independent feedback. And, you know, it is constructive. They're giving you things that you can actually improve and sort of tweak on, so it does make the difference. It goes without saying, check your spelling, check your punctuation. That can all come at the end, but just make sure you have also done that check as well, because it's so, so important. Check your tenses. This is This is very relevant if you've started the application, worked on a few questions, and then you've maybe gone back to it at another time, because I know I can quite often change my tenses and things like that as well. So again, just make sure it's all consistent, because if not, that'll be picked up on, kind of thing. And use active voice, you know, emphasize your actions. So for example, instead of saying we took action, we acted, it is much more concise, it's good for the word count, and it gives energy to your words, and it just helps it sort of come alive. So there's some of the sort of key do's. Some of the don'ts are copy and paste. So for example, we have Royal Bank of Scotland as main sponsors, and a main sponsor will typically see all entries. And if you've seen something a couple of times, well, you do recognise it, you kind of think, right, that's fine. Copying and pasting the description from your about section in your website into the about, or a bit about your company in an application for an award, is not good enough. And I think that if you're applying for a few different awards as well, and you're absolutely going for it, you need to make sure that each one is different as well. Don't be lazy, don't copy and paste. Don't use jargon, because again, if somebody doesn't understand something, they're just going to sort of pass over on it. So keep it really simple, and never assume that they have knowledge of your industry. That is a big one. And as I said, with social media 12 years ago and the chamber, I knew it would be quite a sort of varied, if you like, board of judges. And I didn't know who was judging, but I did think I need to sort of explain why this makes good business sense, how it's delivered measurable benefits to the business. And that was some feedback that I got post-award, which was great. So never assume that they know anything about your industry. Don't give one-line answers. I know I'm saying be, you know, active with your voice and, you know, think about the word count, but try and flesh it out somewhat, but add value at the same time as well. Never talk about what you're going to do. I mean, it's great to say that you've got vision and things like that. One of the questions that was always asked was, what would winning this award mean to you and your business? And, you know, by all means, you can talk about where you're looking to go and what you're looking to do. But in terms of providing evidence and why you should win this award, it's about what you've done rather than what you're going to do. So just remember that as well. Don't lie, because it's just going to get you caught out in some shape or form. And that's not good as well. So as I say, if you look at an application and you think, I didn't do that year, but I could just say I've done that and change that, just don't do it, because it doesn't sit right. And, you know, obviously you can work on opportunities for sort of future years as well. And do not submit after the deadline, because I know for a tender process, for example, quite often there'll be a cut-off. I don't know why they make it midday, but they do. And it doesn't matter if your internet's dropped or it's failed and it didn't successfully upload till 12:10. You've missed the deadline. So make sure you've got it in plenty of time. Stuff like that can happen. In terms of the judges and what are they looking for? Well, they're going to get lots of applications and they're going to be sort of poring over them. So you want to make sure that your application absolutely stands out, because you've got one chance to sort of really impress them and to sort of interest them. And if you can demonstrate that ambition, then again, that's just one simple, small way that can set you apart, but it's the sum of all these kind of actions that can really make the sort of difference as well. We've experienced, you know, the last 2 years have been unlike any other, and lots of businesses have been very resilient, they've been very creative, and again, different businesses and organisations will maybe have different access to resources, but show how you've adapted and made the most of limited resources, because everybody loves to see someone do well and hear these kind of stories and things like that as well. So that's absolutely key. I also think entrepreneurship's really, really important. I spent a year at Entrepreneurial Spark, and they, you know, kept getting us to do lots of different things from our kind of, you know, pitches and stuff like that as well, so that we could absolutely nail it. But, you know, demonstrate that you have the vision and the strategy and things like that as well. And in terms of like innovation, you know, what makes you different? Talk about the bad stuff, because that happens in business, but show how you've dealt with it and what you've learned and how you can take it forward, because again, that is an attractive thing to read and it's interesting. And then fundamentally answer the question. Don't waffle or miss the point completely, because you think you're saying something, but actually when you read it back, it's not answering the question. And if you can see at the side here, if you like an acronym, yes, it does say ACE it. But what I would say is it's all about the attention to detail that judges are looking for and setting you apart. And just, to sort of conclude on it, winning is just the beginning. There's multiple benefits to your business, but what I have personally experienced, and I've seen it with other businesses as well, is that the doors just open that bit easier. You might be looking to speak to somebody or do business with somebody, or you've got an idea. And when you have an award under your belt, you're an award-winning business. When you have 2 awards under your belt, you're a multi-award winning business. And that might sound like a bit of spin, but you have to use that and absolutely use it to your advantage. People want to talk to you. I remember that I got a small article in the Mulgai and Bearsden Herald, which is where I'm from, and it's not got a huge readership, but obviously local MSP reads it, sees it and thinks, oh, we've got somebody in our area that's doing good things. I want to talk to them because I want to be aligned with, good news and things like that. And it was very much come and see me. How can I help you? And it was phenomenal because that helped to open, as I say, more doors and things like that as well. And then on the back of that, I started to get letters from the House of Commons. And again, these are things that it's quite nice, but even it's the sort of thing that you can share with your family and they're quite proud of you. They still might not understand exactly what you do, but this is validation. And you've got that. I remember as well, I got motions in Scottish Parliament. I actually looked them up so I could start putting them on here. And I didn't know what a motion in Scottish Parliament was back in sort of 2009, 2010. But again, it's something that it's a great thing to have. And it's something that you can use in terms of PR and stuff like that. And on that, in terms of your media and PR relations, people will come and they'll interview you, they'll give you opportunities, and that's all good for business. It's also a perfect opportunity that, if you've been recognised, having the opportunity to collaborate with other businesses is possible because they're going to take you more seriously. An investment, you can get more investment in you, and as I said, in your business kind of thing, and new business opportunities will come. There are so many benefits, but this is just, as I say, to give you a bit of a kind of overview of the kind of key things to do and get you really thinking about this application and giving it all you've got. In terms of the awards, I wish you the absolute best of luck, and I'm happy to take any questions, whether it be now or hand it back over to Alan.
Thank you so much, Gillian. I love the ACEIT acronym. So thank you.
A bit cheese sometimes.
Thank you very much for doing that. If it's all right with you, Gillian, because we're going to hear a wee bit of your award story in a wee minute, actually, in a wee interview that's coming up. So what we'll maybe do is we'll maybe come back to questions at the end. If it's all right with you, that'd be much appreciated. What I want to do is just quickly, for 1 minute, tell you a little bit about the Glasgow Business Awards. What Gillian has been sharing with you today has been hopefully things that you can apply to all applications for awards, and there's some great hints and tips in there. And you actually stole what I always say is my top tip, Gillian, which is be honest in an application. When things haven't worked out, always make sure that you cover that and what you did to rebuild after any mistakes that you've made as well. So that's always what my top tip is when I do my wee social media tweets. So delighted to see it in there as well. But no, what I was wanted to do is just tell you a little bit about the Glasgow Business Awards. I'm going to ask Gillian if she could just mute, if that's all right, because I can hear the wee echo coming from me. So the Glasgow Business Awards, I actually think quite a few of you will be familiar with it. Some of you may have already been through the application process as well, and have actually maybe even been finalists at the awards or winners at the awards, and been through that process. The 2022 Glasgow Business Awards is going to be our 24th awards ceremony this year, and we've got 17 categories, of which 14 categories are open for businesses to apply to. All the details are at glasgowbusinessawards.com, and you can actually apply on there and go through a process. As I said, there's a number of categories, and they're all designed to celebrate all areas of business life, whether that be entrepreneurship, fair and healthy workplace, communications, international trade. Some of the most popular ones are always the best performing SME and the best performing large business. We've got Green Champion in there. And then we've also got another one that's new this year that I just wanted to highlight to you all, which is our excellence, not our excellence, our Glasgow Business Award for Business Resilience, which celebrates those that are showing a proactive approach to safeguarding operations. But what, and I've put the deadline there up there, which is the 8th of July. So there's about just under a month for those that want to go through the process. And I just wanted to reassure you all that, as well as the hints and tips Gillian's given you, the Chamber team are on hand to help you through this process in the next few weeks if it is something that you want to go for. I'll pop my details in the chat function, and feel free to get in touch with me at all, and we'll come back to you and we can guide you through the process and give you hints and tips as you go for that, as well. But I actually thought maybe one of the best ways to learn a little bit about what the Glasgow Business Awards can do and what impact it can have in your business is to have a couple of past winners be interviewed today. So what we've asked is we've selected a couple of our judges to come along and join us today. And first up, I'm going to ask Michelle Nichol of Scottish Power to join us. And Michelle has been involved with the Glasgow Business Awards for a long time. Michelle is the Senior Manager for Business Marketing at Scottish Power, and has actually worked very closely with the Chamber for many, many years as a partner of the Chamber of Commerce and as the sponsor of the Green Champion category. And Michelle is a very, very experienced judge in the Green Champion area, and it's a real cause of which she has championed throughout the time that I've worked with Michelle at Scottish Power. And Michelle's going to interview a previous winner, Leslie Quinn from City Building Glasgow. I know Leslie's the head of business support there, and Leslie has won many awards at the Business Awards. And today we're focusing on the Green Champion, but what I'm just going to do is I'm just going to hand you straight over to Michelle. So Michelle, over to you.
Thank you very much.
If you don't mind unsharing the slide, Gillian, that'd be much appreciated.
Oh, that's better. I can see everyone now. Hi, Leslie.
Hi.
Hi, everyone. No, that's great. And Gillian, that was a really good and helpful insight, which was fantastic. And I think when you kind of mentioned about alignment, that is very true. So not surprising, Scottish Power being first integrated energy company to supply 100% green energy. So it was obviously very fitting that we sponsor the Green Champion. And I think we have now for maybe 10 years, Alan. I've lost count, but
at least. So.
At least. But for me, I've probably been on the judging panel for quite a few of them, and I'm always inspired by what I read and fascinated and love reading about businesses, passion and energy, and it really does shine through, and that is just fantastic to read. So really enjoy that process every year and getting to know some of the businesses in the Glasgow community. So anyway, it's not about me, about Leslie today. So Leslie, in terms of context, do you want to maybe just tell us a wee bit about yourself and your business in terms of what you do and your organisation, just for context would be really good.
Okay. I'm probably going to take Gillian's presentation and everything that she said, just show you how you put it into practice, to be honest. So I'm the head of business support at City Building, which is a £200 million turnover construction company in the city. We sort of undertake new build construction, refurbishment, investment, and including some of the most prestigious buildings in the city, like the City Chambers, the Kelvin Grove Art Gallery, to name a few. But we also do probably about 500,000 repairs annually in homes, libraries, schools and sports centres, including some specialist areas like asbestos removal, sort of Legionella checks and lift breakdowns installations. We employ 2,000 people, and we actually employ 1 in 8 construction workers in the city. And this includes nearly about 300 craft apprentices. And we also manage, and this is a bit of the organisation that I love, we also manage and employ 260 people at our supported manufacturing factory, which is Royal Strathclyde Blencath Industries. And that's where we do sort of design, manufacture timber kits for new build, windows, doors, and then interior stuff like kitchens and kind of other domestic and office furniture. And because it is a supported manufacturing business, it means that there's about 150 of my colleagues who work there are people with disabilities. And just to finish on who we are, their most recent project was the kitchens, the wardrobes and the kind of bathroom vanity units that have been put into the new site down at Buchanan Wharf.
Yeah.
So that's kind of who we are.
So in terms then of bringing it back to the Green Champion Award, then was that the only award that year you applied for? I'm not sure, Alan. Is there a volume that you're allowed to apply for in all of this, or is it like a couple of categories? I'm just interested if that was the only one that Leslie applied for that year.
No, there's no restrictions in applying for a number of categories. You can apply for them all if you like, but I think what Gillian was saying, I think it's better to sort of focus on one or two.
Focus on one and do it well. Yeah. Okay. So why the Green Champion one then for you, and Leslie? Why did you think that you put an application for that particular one?
Well, I mean, I like everything like Gillian said, you know, sort of looking at the criteria. I think we applied for that one. I mean, we are kind of, you know, we're probably like yourself. We're very much focused on performance. And also the need to kind of constantly improve, you know, and we like to evidence that we are doing stuff, you know, evidence of ambitions, do we get results? And I think we felt at that point that we sort of introduced some, because we're a construction company and, you know, there's a lot of people have worked here a lot of times, so you've got to try and make changes. But I think we felt we'd introduced some, I suppose, innovative initiatives and kind of ideas around sort of sustainability, renewable technologies, and we were keen to see what others thought. So I think by applying for the Green Business Award, we felt that some of those kind of transformational changes that we had made within areas of the organisation, it would be good to see if we could try and demonstrate that to the judges. And I would also say the Glasgow Business Awards is a great night out. So
yes,
why not?
It certainly is. But it's also a very prestigious award as well. And I think from memory, and going back to what Gillian had said as well, that from a judge's perspective, I do remember your application. It was there was really evidence-based. So. And it was really clearly laid out. And sometimes when you're reading loads of application, it just makes that so much easier that you can see criteria, evidence, you had percentages change against things. So that was it was an easier process to read and understand. So the evidence part and definitely the passion came across. And you want to feel inspired. For me, I want to feel inspired to read something, and that really came across strong in the application. So no, that was excellent. It's probably worth saying, I mean, this is a big organization, but like the last couple of years winners were a lot smaller. So again, don't be put off when we talk about these big numbers, because from a judge's perspective, it's almost where you've been and where you are now and what steps you've actually taken with the resources at hand and stuff. So, you know, again, just because you're a smaller organisation, don't feel that that should be put off, and you're up against big ones and there's no chance. So if you genuinely have evidence that you have made real changes on green practices to reduce your business's carbon footprint and it's evidence there, then it's absolutely worth entering. And I think for green, it's becoming more and more important. And you know, it was only 6 months ago COP was in Glasgow, so I mean that whole climate change agenda was right at front and center. So definitely more mainstream. So no, really good. Just finally, Leslie, any last minute, from your perspective, hints and tips, anything over and above what Gillian had said that you would say just as a final?
I mean, a lot of what Gillian has said, I suppose, is what we put into practice. For me, and I'm delighted to hear that it stood out because I wrote it, so that's good for me on a Friday morning.
That's good. Brownie points for you.
Yeah, my advice, I think, would be is just consider it carefully. Just look at what the criteria is. Look at the eligibility, and then examine the questions being asked. I know Gillian said she took it like a bit like an exam, and that's exactly what I would concur with that. What is being asked, and how do you respond to that? Also, just don't rush. Ensure you submit the best possible sort of answers that you can, and again, just give yourself plenty of time and not to rush to meet the sort of deadline. Yeah. And I think as well, in terms of the content, yes, we are a big organisation, but we've got a lot of people that have worked the same way. So trying to change their ways of working is a big ask. And sometimes it's a bit like trying to turn an oil tanker. So we felt we'd made a lot of progression in that area, and we felt we could show. And I think as well, we had an opportunity to sort of pick out some quirky stuff, like, for example, the work we did when we found water voles in one of our sites. So that's a wee bit different that we could use to highlight, to back up reducing the carbon footprint, but also showing, I think, that sustainability is embedded in kind of everything we do, whether it was the water voles or whether it was our new beehives that we got at the time. And a lot, the water voles, the beehives are things that then show your workforce that you're making a difference as well. So I think they helped us as well. So it is about think about your organisation as a whole, your business as a whole, and make sure that you can make that. You can be succinct with what you're saying, but obviously be aware of what I always call the pesky word count. Don't ever go over that. And again, I think that's about
nice. Yeah.
It's a test to you. Can you succinctly say this is what we do? Yeah. So no, a lot of what I've just put Gillian's sort of thoughts and presentation there. We just put it into practice. But I think for that point of view, it shows that if you do follow that, you get a better chance of winning.
No, thank you for that, Leslie. And just finally, before I pass back, just on the PR front, I know every year leading up, anyone that's nominated, we make sure that we name check everybody in our social channels. So again, just emphasising that reach of a company like Scottish Power, your business is being name checked, and that all counts. And obviously, and afterwards, we tend to work with the winners, do case studies, and support them in raising profile as well. So just reiterate again all those additional benefits. So definitely well worth it. So no, thank you.
Thank you.
And good luck. Good luck, everyone.
Huge thank you to both Michelle and Leslie there for giving us a wee insight into the Green Champion and the application process there as well. I want to also go to a different winner, and we're actually going to hear back from Gillian here, but this time from her experience of the Glasgow Business Awards and going for it as well. And I'm delighted to interview Gillian. We're going to welcome Lindsay Haggerty, who is Local Enterprise Manager at Royal Bank of Scotland. And Lindsay's been involved with the awards now. I think this is your second awards with us, Lindsay, but has been really helped us a lot last year to reach lots of businesses and to really champion these awards. So Lindsay, over to you.
Thank you, Alan. Yes, and delighted, Gillian, to have you here to share some of your experiences. When we were thinking about who to invite along for this award, we were going through all the different names, but actually the obvious choice was staring us straight in the face. And obviously you've got lots of experience, having not only won 4 Glasgow Business Awards, but you've actually won 11 awards in total, which is just, or you've certainly been nominated as a finalist for 11 awards. So that's phenomenal. So you're definitely the right person to give us a bit of insight. And I want to really start with a question which I think Jill Loftus had actually posed in the chat, really around about the interview process. So from your perspective, are there any kind of top hints and tips that you can provide when it comes to actually delivering that really impactful interview experience for the judges?
Well, the Glasgow Business Awards don't currently have an in-person interview element to it, but I have had first-hand experience of actually being interviewed by a board from Royal Bank of Scotland. And one of the things that I did, which is probably similar to what you've done, because you've clearly been on LinkedIn to see a bit about my sort of history, which is great, but I wanted to do my homework to see who I was going to be in front of. I wanted to familiarise myself, as simple as this sounds, with what they look like, because then I would come across more relaxed because I was familiar with them. They didn't have a clue who I was. That was fine. And again, it was all about kind of aligning what was important and speaking to them. So if I could see a particular judge also did volunteer work in another area, I'll find something that I could almost throw into that. Because yes, I have to answer the questions and show that I am, you know, a good candidate to be a finalist and hopefully a winner. But I want to just give that little bit extra and add a wee bit more in there, but not in a creepy way where they think I have been stalking them. So yeah, and in terms of interview process as well, it's about being on time, because with my Entrepreneurial Spark journey, we had a competition which was sponsored by the Royal Bank of Scotland, and it was for 8 businesses to win a trip to Babson College in Boston. There was a lot of competition, and the BBC, just to give extra pressure, were actually following us. Well, they were making a documentary at the time, so they were filming this. So not only do you get a camera on you and you've got to act natural, but you're trying to get the best, you know, impression and sort of go ahead. So yeah, I would definitely say that in terms of interviews and things like that, know who you're going to be speaking to, know your lines, forget the notes, and remember, if you think you fluffed it or you've forgotten something, only you know that, they don't know that. So be like a swan, be graceful, and underneath everything can be going crazy.
Did you do a lot of rehearsal ahead of you? Did you
No.
stand in front? No, you didn't. So I was going to ask you if that's a technique. So you didn't stand in front of the mirror and talk to yourself?
I remember the first time I was asked to talk about my business at Business Gateway, and from experience, I've seen people that have got cards and prompts and things like that. And I actually thought, wait a minute here, nobody knows my business like me, and it's about my story and the journey. So I don't think you can rehearse that. You can either speak to people and be honest and share related stories. So the most important thing for me in terms of preparation is to know who my audience is, who am I talking to, and make sure that I can share a story that resonates with them. So it's like I've got enough practice being me. As I say, it's just about keeping to the sort of answer to the question kind of thing. So
excellent. Jill, you actually have your hand up, so I'm going to let you take the floor.
Yeah, I was just want to say thanks for that, Gillian. That's really helpful to answer. I was part of the group that were interviewed last year because we were finalists for the wellbeing category from City Glasgow College, and felt that we didn't really know about the interview process beforehand or who would be on the panel to interview. So understanding that, I think, is really helpful to be prepared for, because a lot of the questions were directed from the panelists of question, their area of expertise, I suppose. So that's really helpful, and it is a great night as well, being a finalist.
definitely.
That's the thing, it's not always necessarily about winning the award, it's actually going through that experience and what you can bring out the back of it. And with that in mind, if you've got a team, Gillian, supporting your business, maybe, there are your talent that you want to develop within your business, should you be encouraging them to be part of that process as well, the application and interview process?
Absolutely. I mean, that's how you learn and you become the best version of yourself. So when I had won the first Glasgow Business Award, it was actually my +1 was my intern. And it was a great experience because she had been part of that journey. And she learned a lot from it as well. And I know that she was able to kind of use that experience, and it helped her on her kind of career and things like that as well. So yes, I mean, young people are crying out for opportunities above and beyond any kind of academic qualifications. And that's something that I've always been passionate about. And as I say, I've worked with lots of students and graduates to provide not just opportunities. It's not free labour for a business by any means, but you can get some excellent people through your business. And in fact, somebody who came initially for an internship spent 3.5 years with me. I did pay him. And when he graduated from Strathclyde with his business degree, he said to me, I want to be successful with the Scottish Power graduate programme. I'm not making this up. And, you know, he had lots of opportunities, but that's the one he wanted. And I actually kind of tried to coach him a bit more as well, and really help him sort of stand out. So he learned so much from just being sort of beside me, and he was successful, and he's still at Scottish Power today.
Excellent. And then just, I suppose, one last question. We've got a couple of minutes left. What was maybe one or two tips, that really key tips that you think that made your application stand out from the rest? Gillian, if you could, you know, sort of succinctly tell us what that would be.
I just really tried to get my enthusiasm, passion, but business acumen across. Because like I said, social media 12 years ago to a judging panel, older gentlemen perhaps might think it's just fluff. And I wanted to show that, no, this is the real deal, and this is what I've achieved as a result of it. So they took me seriously. And winning the award, more people took me seriously.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Gillian. Really appreciate you taking the time to share that with us today.
Thanks very much.
Thank you to Lindsay and Gillian there for giving us another wee insight into there from a company that's been through the process. I'm going to open it to the floor if anyone's got any questions that they would like to ask any of Gillian or any of the people that they've heard speak this morning. I'll maybe kick it off. I'm just conscious of time, so I'll kick off a very quick one. So I was going to ask Michelle and Lindsay just for a little bit. They've both been involved in judging of the awards as well, and if they could maybe give us the one thing when they approach the judging that they're sort of looking for, their top thing that they look for when they first open it. That's quite a generic question, so I do apologise, quite open, but just when you approach the judging process, what really makes an application stand out for you? And Michelle, you've unmuted first, so I'm going to jump to you. So
I'm just, for me, it's evidence, and obviously I'd mentioned that before, and that's what stood out in City Building's application. So, and yeah, evidence to remove the jargon, you know, honesty and passion comes through, and just be succinct. So but you definitely, so it's nice reading a nice story and everything else, and that's really inspiring. But at the end of the day, it is about the evidence, and producing evidence to support your application is key. So spend the time on that bit.
And Lindsay, sort of throw the same question to you.
All right. Yeah, I would say I would 100% agree. Evidence is key. But for me, just that opportunity to showcase what you've achieved, but also what your future plans are. You know, where do you want to go with your business? What's your growth opportunities out there? Because ultimately, yes, it's great to know what you've achieved in the past, but where are you going forward? So if you can highlight that. Certainly remember from last year, the winner of the Entrepreneur of the Year award, he spoke a lot about his drive to grow the business, and actually that really inspired me, because I thought he had real clear goals that he was working toward, but he was taking his whole team along with him for the journey, and he was just so passionate about it, which I think really came across not only in the interview but also in the application.
Amazing. So thank you very much, guys, for that as well. I don't see any hands raised or any questions in the chat as well, and I'm conscious that it's 11 o'clock, and we as a chamber always like to finish on time when we say we do. So I just want to say a huge thank you to everyone who's been involved today. Can I firstly thank Gillian for taking us through an excellent presentation, giving us a snapshot of how to go about the process. And Gillian, I'm sure you'll pop your details in the chat for me if anyone wants to contact you after this session, if they maybe got any questions that they maybe didn't want to ask at the webinar. Can also thank Michelle for coming along and interviewing today. Fantastic to have you along, and thank you as always from the Chamber for your support of the Business Awards as well. And to Lindsay as well, Lindsay Haggerty at the Royal Bank as well. It's so much appreciated having you both along today and contributing to the session. And for playing such an active role in the Glasgow Business Awards, and thank you very much for that. And can I thank Leslie for coming along and being involved in the sort of question area as well. And I know, Leslie, you've gone for lots of work. It's great to hear that you filled in that application form, and it really stood out as well. So thank you very much for that. And can I also just thank a couple of people that were in the background today who've been involved in the organising of this, to Anne-Marie Hughes, to Lindsay Harvey, and to Viv Morton, who have all been helping me pull this session together as well today. So thank you very much.